All right, we're back for another Bible story. This time it is David and Goliath. Israel was facing the Philistines, these people that constantly came up and marauded Israel. And they brought out their champion. His name was Goliath. And he was enormous. Estimates put him at around 10 foot tall. So everybody's looking around. Who's going to fight him? Who's going to fight him? Saul, the king, that was a head taller than anybody else in Israel. And he's like, I'm not fighting him. They send somebody else out, and they're like, yeah, I think I'll pass this time. So they couldn't find anybody to fight him. So little David, his brothers were already out in the army of Israel. He was out keeping the sheep, but he came to give them food. And he was just a teenager. He was just a kid. And he's like, who is this man out there defying our God and defying our country? He's out there ranting and raving. Why don't y'all go out there and take care of him? And they're like, why don't you do it? Have you seen him? He's enormous. And he's like, he means nothing to me. God would fight with me. So they's like, okay, well, put on the armor. They put on the armor. He couldn't even move because he was so small. So he was like, I can't do nothing in this stuff. So they put the armor off, and he's like, give me my sling. Not a slingshot like we have today. It was a sling that you twirl around. He went and got 5 rocks, and all of a sudden he's like, I'll take care of it myself. He took off running at him. So Goliath was in shock, like, everybody's scared of me, and this little kid's going to be running at me? So imagine David just running and dodging, and he's slinging this sling the whole time, and all of a sudden, he lets loose of the rock, and it hits him right in the forehead, the Bible said, sunk into his forehead, went into his skull, and he fell down. But unlike what most people think, they're like, well, David killed Goliath with a sling. No, David didn't kill Goliath with a sling. He knocked him out with the sling. The Bible says that once he knocked him out, he climbed up on him, pulled out the enormous sword that Goliath had, and chopped his own head off with it and held it up in the air. And the people of the Philistines were like, it's time to get out of here. So they left and ran, and David was made into the national hero. He saved the entire country. Not because he was anything special of himself. He was just a kid. But he trusted the Lord. And that's the whole premise behind this story. He trusted the Lord. He knew the Lord would guide that rock. And he did. Hit him directly in the forehead, and he destroyed the Goliath that was against their people. Well, you may be facing a Goliath today, whether it's your health, your finances, your job, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. If you trust in God, God will guide everything that needs to be done. You could be David in the same situation. So the story of David and Goliath is to show you that as long as you trust God, it doesn't matter what your situation is. Everybody else was terrified of this man because he was enormous. But little David couldn't care less because he knew God was on his side. So when you have problems in your life, remember little David. If you just trust God, He'll destroy your Goliath.